That way you don't have to find the challenge. So now you show them 30 properties and they find the one that they love, but now they want to offer 50,000 on the price. And they get scared when you tell them, no, we need to go at least at asking. Right? So a preparation to that is super important. I like to cover this part that's not in the book prior to it. When do you think when you identify the property, when do you think the relationship with the listing agent starts? When should it start? Everything is relationships, right? Everything is communication. So you're gonna make it, let's say I'm the listing agent, okay? You came to see my property. When should you engage in conversation with that agent? Maybe the one that you're gonna give the offer to.
Well, I would imagine maybe before you even take the buyer in, so that you really have top amount of information when you're walking them through.
Very true. And also you have to let them know about your buyer. You kind of have to do a little extra nowadays. You have to sell your buyer to them. You have to tell them about how great they are, how well they are financially, and how well pre-approved they are. Let's take a little step back, even before that. Remember I was talking about brokers opening this for me? I'm very purposeful when I go see property. Most of the time, if I don't have a buyer that I'm specifically working with in an area, then I can see anything. But if I'm working with a buyer, I focus on the properties that I'm going to be sending them or that has already sent them. So for me to know about the property beforehand, and that's the perfect time that instead, you're walking with your business cards and everybody throws them on the table. I find out who the listing agent is. I give him my business card and I make sure he knows who I am. You compliment them on the very listing that he has. All right, congratulations. I mean, you want to do everything you can to establish that relationship. Because believe it or not, a lot of agents are trying to select and approve or recommend your offer based on if they consider the buyer's agent a good agent or not. What other things tells the listing agent if you're a good agent or not? What do you think? What else? Let's say when they get an offer.
Thorough communication, a properly filled out offer.
Okay. What else? Have you guys ever seen the on the listings prior remarks? The remarks of the agents. What should we be looking for in there?
What they're asking for.
Right? They tell us exactly how they want things. Sometimes they even say, can you please send that in one PDF? Right? And the reason why, because especially on this market, you're dealing with 15, 20 offers.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's a sweet thing to get that many, but it's a pain in the other end to put it in organizing for your client, especially when you have to, and I tell you, most of my offers I request, one file. And I got an offer with 14 attachments. Not just proof of funds to say one or two statements. No, it was one statement, second statement.
And in California, because people have so much money, their monies are tied up in all kinds of different stock accounts and this kind of thing. And because you're dealing with so much money. So it's not a simple thing. It's usually not just a screenshot of the bank account balance.
Right. So you need just like I said, so just organize them. So the other thing that it tells you that most of them tells you submit the pre-approval letter, submit even credit scores at times. Not all of them ask for the credit scores, but I do. Some of them say that the client has to be cross-qualified. So if you don't read that and you call it the agent, so how do you want this? You know what they're going to tell you? Go read. I just did that this morning, unfortunately, and I'm trying not to be rude, but in capital, literally in bold capital letters, I put in there, the property will not be available to show until the open house. Hi, can I show you your property in 2 hours? I said, this morning I said, did you read the remarks? I said specifically says that the property is not available. We go bother that. So it's important, I can just, so it's important to follow those directions. Another thing I do is I call the agent before I even start the process of the offer, and I tell them, hey, what is your seller looking for? You know, is a short answer good for them? Or do they need time? Do they need to lease back the property? How much time do they need?
Are you running into that a lot?
No, I'm actually, I just opened it from the 2.2 and they want 40 days lease back. Okay, so it's happening, especially whenever there is a transition, there's always a few days. So in this case, it's going to be 30, but it went for 40 days after have an extension later.
So your 30-day escrow and then 40-day lease back beyond that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, we're closing because they need the money for the like.
Yeah, got it.
So the idea is you want to give that agent and make that agent's job easier.
Mhm.
Okay, so you ask, how many days for inspections are you looking for? How many days for appraisal are you looking for? Do you need the numbers of the days for the loan to be reduced? Okay, because this is what happens. If everybody leaves do it the lazy way, I call it, they leave the contract the way it's there. Of course, inspections is 17 days, appraisal 17 days, and the loan, I think they changed it back to 17, but it used to be 21.
Yeah.
Then that poor agent, if they decide to send you a counter, and I can guarantee you, if two offers are identical, okay, I'm gonna choose the one that I'm gonna write less on the counter offer. I kid you not. Okay, because I'm gonna reduce, if I get 20, I'm gonna reduce it to 5 or 6 top offers. And I'm gonna choose the cleanest offers. And that's why when you write an offer, make sure your PC coach or your mentor checks that offer before you send it in. Because once you send it, it's done.
Sending it to the client.
Sending it to the listing agent.
Oh, right. Oh,
Well, no,
yes,
I mean,
yeah.
no, I mean, well, yeah, you need to have them, if it's your first 3 or 4, yeah, you definitely want to review it before you send it to your client to sign.
Right.
And then when you send it to the listing agent, make sure somebody takes a look at your email, because they do a short summary on the, on the email, this is what so the agent can actually don't have to go and click different things to see what I'm offering.
Right.
They can just do, my clients love your, this property, whatever, and then you go, this is the summary of the offer.
Good.
Price, how much deposit, which get your clients to believe that 3% is what it should be. Okay, it says more about how strong the offer is. And you can put anything, but if somebody puts 1%, it's just not as positive as possible. It just doesn't make the offer strong.
Yeah.
Okay, so you collect all that information, and now you call. First, you call your lender. Can you do with appraisal in 14 days? Oh. Can you do the appraisal in 14 days? Then you also want to check with your inspectors. Can you do inspections in, can I get inspections done in 7 days? Because that's what, literally 7 to 10 days of the inspections done. Why? Because they want to know right away if you're going to move forward. Or, they don't want to wait 17 days later. You tell them, oh, I don't like what I found in the inspections. Now we lost a lot of time. So they want to do it quick. So you write, you tell your lender, you make sure that they're good with that. You check with that you can get enough, that your inspector is somewhat available that week. And now you go to your client and says, this is what they're asking. So this is what I recommend as we go in and ask. So and please do not request termites in the RPA or purchase agreement. It used to be part of it, and they took it out. People keep putting it in. I don't understand why. Okay, because the problem with that is that if there's termites, the lender, might request a termite report. And if the lender considers that termites needs to be done, and the seller doesn't want to do it, or the buyer is not gonna do it because it's not the property yet, the escrow hasn't been closed.
Yeah.
So you end up with a problem. So leave it off and make it part of your investigations. So when you do your inspections, I always do, okay? General inspector, depending on how the roof looks, I probably bring a roofer, but my inspector is a general contractor, so he can give me an idea if I need to have an opinion on it. And then I bring a termite guy, which is the name of the company, actually, termite guy. And I also bring a sewer camera guy. Sewer inspection, especially on older homes, is a must do. The only client that did not listen to me ended up with a $4,800 bill because a few days later, the main pipe blocked and they must have had a huge crack in it. So it's a very inexpensive, like 150, 175 with video. That's what my guy charges. And they look at the house, the main pipe all the way to the street. Make sure there's no cracks and that kind of stuff. Super important. Okay.
You do this with the buyer or on your own?
That's the buyer's responsibility. That's the recommendations. Okay.
Sorry, sir, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in this situation, if the lender say, okay, we need a termite report, right? And seller say, I don't want to, like, I don't want to pay for that. And as you feel like the buyer is not the owner of the property, and why should he pay for that? So who will be responsible for these charges? Like, do the agent do their own pocket, or how do agent accommodate?
But that's what creates the problem.
Yes.
Because the buyer shouldn't be putting any money on that
Yes,
property.
in this situation, how do we handle as an agent?
As an agent, then either it doesn't get resolved, or you have your client bite the bullet, okay, which is not a position I would put my clients in.
Yes, because sorry to interrupt on this situation, like because some kind of questions in my head. So in this is the South Bay Association of Realtor, like day before yesterday, I got my orientation. I missed before, so they set up for day before yesterday, and there's a lot of things like disclosure things, and it's very restrictions. Like if agent can do like just one person mistake, not like purposely, but they have to pay like a lot of fines.
Right.
And they would like put their license on risk. So avoid the situation like a disclosures and inspection. So what would be the few essential things we have to do as an agent?
Okay,
So because as we saw in exams, like a visual inspection, right? If seller hides something, and the later it's pop up, right? So, but this is not in our knowledge. Like fiduciary relationship, like we are, I mean, good for a client and seller, but somehow if seller hides something, and later they pop up, so the agent will be in trouble.
No. Okay, so the visual inspection that the agent does is just of what's visible.
Exactly.
If the home is furnished and behind that furniture there's a big hole, that's not your fault.
Exactly.
Now the owner is the one that discloses. Okay, you're just giving your visual evaluation of the property or what you see. But on the owner, they have to say if there's a leak in the house, if there's something, any kind of holes behind furniture, any kind of damage, anything that is not visible to the eye, they need to disclose it.
So in the inspection inspector, right? Do they protect agent or not? If they have some reports, so can we use as a shield if something happened later? Or we got this inspector report or inspection.
Correct. Yeah, the inspector is responsible and they're bonding, they're insured. Okay, in case they miss something that causes an issue.
Exactly. So
I have never had in the 9 years that I've been doing this business, I have never had a situation where the buyer came back.
But the way the South Bay Association, like it's so scary, like.
Oh man, sometimes even here in the office, bring some attorneys. You feel like running out of here. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I mean, it is crazy.
That was so like disappointing. Say, hey, like I'm not gonna do anything wrong, but what is?
So this is important. Okay. Go with follow your God. Be ethical. at all times.
Mhm.
And always your intention should be to do the right thing.
Of course.
Your fiduciary duty is to protect your buyer if you're representing the buyer. Your fiduciary duty is to protect the seller if you're representing the seller. Now, if you're representing both, you have fiduciary duty to both. So you want to do it as honest as possible, making sure that if you know, like my clients, they say, should I put this? I say, it's definitely better if you put it. I mean, don't try to, sugarcoat anything because that sugar melts. Okay, so if you do something inappropriate, sooner or later it's gonna catch up. And the best way to protect your license and the best way for you to create reputation as an agent, you'll be to always, even if it costs you the freaking deal.
Exactly.
Just do the right thing.
Exactly. It's not worth it.
Right. Especially, and I'm sorry we're kind of went sideways, but especially when if you ever have a listing and somebody comes to you, first they go, can you write me an offer? I mean, literally, they come to us, like, so some of the buyers come in and like, they're almost like, can you write me an offer and give me a great deal? You make it both sides of the commission. No, be careful of that, because everything is okay until it's not. That's the way I always say it. So right off the top, especially they're trying to talk to me when other people are there, I tell them, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, I can write the offer for you. I said, the only advantage you're gonna have is that you're gonna know what it will take to win that property. But their approach is to kind of like throw away the other offers and believe it or not, we will.
Really?
Oh my God, yes,
Wow.
okay, and just present mine, especially investors.
So there was one question, like for example, like if the buyer get like 10 offers, right? And only listing agent know which offer is the highest one.
We're gonna cover that in a little bit. Okay, so we're talking about now we're in the making the offer. We know what the seller wants, we know what the agent is looking for, we make the life easy for the agent. The only thing they're going, we're not writing offers. This last one, the only thing that they came back with, nothing on price, because we give them a little more than they're asking. Nothing else except the report, which the agent didn't tell me because I asked what they needed. They came back asking for the 40-day lease back. That was all there was in the contract. But imagine if I would have not asked them, sometimes I get I have to counter people back, okay, on like 12 things. You know how difficult, by the way, it's tricky to keep it all like straight up, especially with a form that you can't really duplicate, because the moment you do one, you have to print it and have it ready or save it in the PDF. Then you go to do the next one and it changes everything.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, and that's what I'm saying. You want an offer to be, to show them on the other ones, just clean it up and make it nice and neat, very professional. Okay, so now your offer is in. You have practically, sometimes I show them the response. You have they have 72 hours to respond to you. Depending on the market, how competitive, I usually give them 24 hours to respond to you. Just because I want to know right away, especially because in this case, I have two other properties that my client was interested in, and I don't want to miss out on those.
Meaning you give them 24 hours before then you feel comfortable reaching out to them?
No, I give them 24 hours for them to respond to my offer.
So that's written somewhere already?
The contract has some spaces, they automatically says it's at 72 hours, or you can change it to whatever you want.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that way they respond back to me. So now the seller has, the agent gathers all the offers. Let's say they got 10. He looks at them. Some are like not complete property. Some are barely have down payment. Especially if you're working with FHA or VA buyers, tough.
Yeah.
So in this market, it's really tough to get this off to accept.
Yeah.
I finally closed a client after 13 months and after 32 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And to top it off, the listing was only paying 2%. So that made it even worse. So So you want to gather all the offers.
Yeah.
Okay. You review the income, you review all the paperwork that they give you, right? And now you have to present every offer, all the offers to the seller.
When you're the listing agent, do you usually put those into a spreadsheet for yourself and for the client, so it's easier to look at?
Yes.
Okay.
In this training, it tells you to do it through command.
Oh.
I've been meaning to do that because it makes it a lot easier. Because you can write the offer through command, you can manage the offers through command, and it's actually, you can share the the breakdown of the offers through command.
Really?
So I'm actually in the process of hiring a virtual assistant
Yeah.
that they're specialized in command to manage the team and also to do all the other stuff for me. I have to confess, I did not learn to do paperwork until my 3rd year in business. Okay, from the very beginning, I partnered up with someone, and she was more of like the paperwork, and then I had a buyer's agent, and I lost them both at the same time. I think that was the time that I had the most listings. I think I had 4 or 5 listings going on. And literally, just like that, I had to learn the paperwork because I had nobody to do it for me.
Yeah.
But in this business, you can make money, and I always go back to having a client, getting a client, bringing a client. That's the value. Paperwork, I mean, there's people that like doing that. I don't like it so much. I'm going to do it, and now I'm hiring an assistant that's actually going to be helping you with it. Because so what am I going to do with my free time? Bring more clients. So I'm pay for an assistant, right? So that's where the money is. Anyway, that's just.
Well, congrats, that's an exciting change.
Yeah, okay, so what are the options for the seller? So the agent already have the offers. He says that out of the 10, list them. He highlights the ones that he want to counter, and he sends them to the seller. So now, and the reason why I say the agent, because the seller, they don't know. Okay, you have to sort of guide them. There's some are very sharp, especially when you get into the higher price point. But the lower price point, people, they really need your expertise.
Sure.
So now what you do is you take the packages and you go ahead and put it on that spreadsheet, which is the easiest way to present it to them. And I don't, at times my clients trust me that I don't even send them the entire file. They just want me to go over each of the applications, each of the offers. And what I do in that spreadsheet is I put the date that the offer came in, the name of the agent, the name of the client, the amount of the offer, how much down payment, and the different dates, the contingencies, periods. Okay, and then next to it I put counter. And that's how so those tops are the ones that I'm recommending based on how much money they have. And then once they agree to that, then I tell them, by the way, I start telling them about how I'm going to request for there will be no repairs made on the property. The RPA says that the property is sold as it is. Okay, again, what people will still ask for repairs. So in the counter, I'm going to put best and final price. Okay, it's going to be. It could be different. It could be that you accept one of the offers right off the top. But if it's not perfect and I can still push the price a little more, I'm also going to counter best and final price. Seller will not do any type of repairs or credits to buyer. No termites will be performed by the seller, depending on the price too. Appraisal to be waived. Okay, so all those things go into the offer. Now, when they call me and ask me, I tell them right away. I say, you know what, for something like this, because they want to know if they're going to get a counter. I said, well, anybody that comes at or over asking, it's possible to get a counter, but we usually pick the top. So I'm already guiding them on where they need to come in. I also do that at the open house. when they come see the open house, everything I list, on the material the other day. Like I took a listing, just went live yesterday, Max is gonna handle it this weekend. In silver, okay, the property's worth about 480. I'm putting the market at 458. Even though it's still a crazy market, I do not want Max nor myself to go to silver and do a second open house. Right? So that house is gonna sell this weekend, no matter what. We're gonna get multiple offers. And it just goes into escrow. And everything, even locally, everything I do, it's just like that. I take the listing, 4 million. Okay, we're gonna put it on the market for 948, depending on what the client is comfortable. The more you put it, the more you get.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get to drive the price up. So a lot of that stuff is already in the agent's mind. But the person that you're dealing with, I always check right away when I'm about to accept an offer. I always check the agent to see if there's any disciplinary action against that agent. Okay, I always check to see how much business they've done, if it's an experienced agent or not, and this is where it sucks. Okay, and that's why when you first start and you're working with someone, you know, and if the agent asks you, is this your first transaction? Yes, but I have a great mentor, or I have a great coach, or I have a great whatever, okay, to know that you're not doing it by yourself. And don't try to lie because they can see if you have done something or not. So you just have to do it because remember, you're protecting your client, right? And you're protecting the paycheck. No, seriously, you want to make sure that that transaction, you know, that you accept closes.
I'm curious how that works where it's the seller that has to decide what, right? Essentially, it's the seller deciding whether they're accepting the offer or not. So how is it that you would even go about not accepting an offer because this agent has a disciplinary action or this agent is new when you're not really supposed to trash talk the agent to the seller? Like, how does that dynamic work?
Okay, you don't trash talk the agent when you ask him for the listing, but you fiduciary duty to the seller once you have them.
Yeah.
Okay, or if I have had a bad experience with the agent in the past.
So that's all it is. You're just communicating that to the seller and then they still get to
communicating
make.
your knowledge.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, let's say you had an issue with an agent, and you don't even consider their offer. Yeah, that agent might, you know, try to accuse you of something.
Yeah, you have to show it,
Right,
right?
so I rather say, and in that specific case, I'm definitely, without even asking, I have my client sign the declination, send them a copy of it. For the most part, we don't send those out, but sometimes I do, just because we want it
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
So,
Proving that you presented the offer.
correct.
Got it.
So, yes, if you only have one offer, it's so tough. But if you have multiple offers, it's just easy for the client to decide. So what you tell the client is, look, this one here has the best credit score, the best, you know, they have a lot of cash, not just the down payment, but they have extra cash. And the reason why is that important in this market? Why is the bank statements that they show, where if they put in, let's say, 20% on the 500,000, so it's 100,000, and they showing 102,000.
Because things are going over asking so much that the lender is not going to cover that if it doesn't appraise for that. So you need extra cash in the buyer's hand to be able to cover that.
Right, because that doesn't even cover the closing costs, right? So that's, but if the offer is like 102 that you got, then you get on the phone and say, you need to show more cash for your clients. So this is not even enough. You should be able to know that it's not enough for the down payment and the closing costs. So that's another way of protecting, again, your client. So now you're looking for them to have money in case there's a difference in the appraisal, right? Because you can't ask somebody that barely has the down payment to cover or to waive appraisal. They can't, because if they do, they're not going to be able to qualify. If the appraisal doesn't come in. So that in itself eliminates some of the offers. So now you present and you tell the client, so these are the top one. this is what I recommend, as the one to accept, I take full charge. And I have a banking background, so they actually, I would mention that and to them, so they know that I can actually refinance, so I can read this thing, I mean, you know, it plays a good role. So they never question but they get to sign the paperwork, they get to accept, okay? And then I'm already lining up a backup and a second backup. So out of the 5 that I count, there's number 1, the one we're gonna accept, there's a backup and backup. And now you start calling people. Okay, first you call the one that you accept, and you tell them that, congratulations, your offer is being accepted, or whatever, if there's any changes. I have situations where the two counters come back and they're identical. So I communicate, and I'm very open about it, and I tell them, I said, look, this is the situation, we're still for this. What do you want to do about it?
You're asking that to the
Agent.
Okay.
So they go back to their client, and they come back to me and say, well, what is it gonna take? I said, well, I don't know what the other person's gonna do, but it definitely needs to be more than what it's done.
But then isn't that, so then you have to counter again, yes?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. To bounce it back to their side and then they counter again with the
Yeah.
offer or whatever they do.
Yeah, when they send me a counter,
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that, starts calling the agent, starts, making conversation, starts, by the time happens, I get more information out of them than they normally would get. I tell them, I say, look, my client really wants the property. I want to be able to work with you on this transaction. Just say that. I want to work with you on this transaction. I think it'll be a good thing. I think my allergies have been totally doing the numbers on my voice. And for the most part, I wait till the very end. And then I said, just like that. So where are we at?
As the buyer's agent.
I said, I asked the listing agent, where are we at? What do I need to do? Okay, give me a second. Let me ask my client if they need to do that. I'm taking care of my client, which is the buyer. My fiduciary duty is to get him the house. Right? So, but everything, like I said, everything starts when? At the broker's office. Or at the showing of that agent. I'll give you a perfect example. This point of 2.2 escrow. We met the agent at that property because they didn't do open houses, they just did appointments only. We stood up in the yard, my client was there, my client got engaged in conversation with him. He told us about how the owner's particular, he's an engineer. They had built the house a couple years ago from, it's beautiful, the house is beautiful. The only house probably in San Pedro that has sprinklers, everything is just amazing. He says he's looking for somebody who's really gonna take care of the house. If they really love the house. But but the kids are in Texas, the grandkids are over there. He goes, so they wanna. So the agent called me and goes, look, I really like how you communicate. I really like, that you guys are on time. I really listen to that. I really like you guys are on time. I really like, so you have to be from the very beginning, building that credibility. So when it comes time, they know you, because if you're on time when the showing is, guess what? You're gonna be on time to release contingency here, contingency there. You're telling them by the way you behave from the beginning, how you're gonna perform. Now your client's gonna perform. You control the client, right? At times. But those little things are super important. Okay? So he says, I really like the buyer. I think they will really want her to have the house. I said, well, what is it gonna take? Little do they know, they don't know that, my client is paying $100,000 for the house. So I said, what is it gonna take? And you have other offers. And will you communicate with me if we actually help it? Very confident. And people get to respect that. Okay? But they know that if they're ever in the reverse side, I'm doing it to work. So then that's how you get offers accepted nowadays. Okay? So how the offer is put together, how the offer, you know, all those things are qualifying to make sure that that agent wants to work with you. And if they have a great experience, by the way, working with you, the next time the opportunity comes, guess what? They're gonna want to work with you. And they're gonna recommend, besides the offer, they're gonna say, you know what, that's a great agent to work with. He gets that done. Why? Because what you're doing is you're showing you have one, you can manage and have control of your clients. When the client, when the buyer is running the show, and that's the worst thing you can do, by the way. To be telling the other agent, well, my client doesn't want to do this, but what you're saying is you can't handle your client. You're not complaining about your client, you're letting them know that you're not a professional and that you cannot handle your client. So don't ever blame your client for something that's not happening. You know, it's not happening on time. Take ownership, take responsibility. It's super, super important. So we wrote the offer. Time goes by way too fast on these things. You know, this things used to be like 3 hours. I know. So
I think even on your paperwork, they all say 4 hours. Some people come in and they're like, so we're here for 4 hours. And we're like, I don't think we are.
well, no, we used to be able to like break it down, but right now, you know, with these classes, I mean, to me, it's more important, like I said the other day, is to share my own experience. I mean, you can read this stuff, okay? So, yeah, that's when the buyers freak out. They have objections.
There's so many different tactics. It's like overwhelming because it depends who you talk to on how it's a lot.
But that's why I recommend these classes.
Yeah.
Because we're not instructors. I mean, this is what we're doing day in, day out. Okay. So, and with that comes, you're gonna develop your own style.
Sure. And
you're gonna be teaching these classes. And you're gonna be sharing what your experience has been. That's pretty cool. Okay. So, okay. So what are the 3 options that the seller has when the listing agent presents them the offer or recommends the offer?
Accept, reject, or counter.
All right. Okay. So, how long is the counter good for?
72 hours? Oh, that's right.
That's the standard.
Okay.
My counters are only good for 24 hours. Okay. See, I tell my clients when I take a listing, property's gonna go in the market Tuesday. Okay, we're only gonna show it at the open house. So nobody's be bothering you coming in and out of the house. We're only gonna show it at the open house. The open houses are gonna be from here, from Saturday, Sunday. The deadline for offers is Monday at 5 p.m.
Okay.
We're gonna prepare counters for only that night. And I said, and we're gonna respond with counters on Tuesday. We're gonna give them a deadline for practically Wednesday.
Right.
I said, so we're gonna be opening escrow by Thursday or Friday. And based on how much they let me, how they let me market the property price-wise, I can pretty much call it and how many offers we're gonna take. It's predictable, just based on it. And this market is a little crazier. So I try not to discount too much because otherwise I want to end up with 75 offers.
Oh, that's a really good.
You need a full-time assistant for that. So I do it to where I know it's gonna sell. That's why, in this case, this one, I want to discount it 20 grand or something.
Yeah.
Because right now, unless you're ridiculous lower price, it should sell. It should sell, but you want to make sure that you attract. The more you attract, the better. Okay, so the seller says that now the agent has to, receive the DocuSign. And now be careful with that too, because it's very easy to, if you have 5 counter offers going back and forth, don't send it to the wrong agent. Yeah, so you have a system. Create a system on how you're going to attract. Also, when you save it on PDF, make sure you put counter, you put the name of the client. Or name is something that identifies either the agent or the client I prefer to put the client's name.
Okay.
Okay, whoever make the offer, or the buyer. Why? Because when you throw stuff around, and that's why on my spreadsheet, I put the name of the buyer and I put the name of the agent. Why? Because that's what I use to be able to make sure I get the right counter to the right person. Because if you send the wrong, the wrong thing, it just doesn't go well. Good. So now they, so now it comes back to you, and they're like asking for everything. So they're asking for you to weigh the appraisal, they're asking for the best and final, they're not gonna do any repairs, and they want you to do inspections in 7 days, appraisal in 14 or 10, sometimes 10, and the loan for it to be reduced to 17 or 14 days. What do you do now?
I mean, you have to calculate that, yeah.
Well, now you call your buyer.
Yeah.
You tell them. What I do is,
And then stress.
what I do is I email them the counter,
Okay.
and the moment I send it, I call them. So by the way, great news, we got a counter, because now getting a counter offer is great news.
It's true, you're not
Yeah.
rejected.
At least you've got to take it in consideration. I had an experience with a property for this same lady that we asked her now. In South Shores in Pedro. This is the property for 14999, almost 1.5. So I did the numbers and I'm like, okay, what's on the price? And I tell her we need to go in at 1620. Yes, she was okay with it.
And you can say a number like that, that's okay,
Well, I did the comps.
right,
I did a CMA.
yeah.
I had numbers to back it up. I told her the property probably appraised for 1.6.
Okay.
And so, no, I mean, what you do is you want to, if you do comps, you need to justify your numbers.
Totally.
Okay, so my thing on that property was that if we would appraise, we could appraise for 1.6 based on what I could see. The issue with that property is that had a 180 degrees view of the ocean, clear over the ocean, and Carolina. And the day we went to see it, it felt like you could like grab Carolina. It was so clear,
Yeah.
so beautiful. So on appraisal, that's a big, because that ocean view can be worth
Oh, yeah.
a lot. Okay, so they got 20 some offers. They countered mine because I was already backing up the agent. I said, make sure that you give me a counter. Please include me in the counter. Whatever. I mean, you just have to hustle right now. Well, they sent me a counter and they said, we counter you, but you are the lowest of the offers that we count. So I called my client. Hey, I go, we got a counter for the previous one we did it. I said, we got a counter. She goes, oh, great. Says, yes, only problem is that our offer is the lowest one. So what do you think we should do? I said, okay, well.
What did they counter with, best and final?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the final. And I go, well, my understanding is that it's higher than 1.7. So what do you recommend? Yes. Well, if it's the 1.7 already, we can't go lower than 1.725. She says, okay, we're good with that. Perfect, there you go. We're gonna wait. So we're gonna wait, and I'm gonna wait until closer to the deadline. Then I'm gonna call the agency. And by the way, don't think that's annoying if you know how to do it. You just have to be polite, you just have to be, just be graceful, be appreciative of the time, okay? So I go, okay, so I was able to get my buyer to step it up a little bit. What is it gonna take? And because I can tell you right now that it's going for more than 1.8.
Oh, shit.
Oh my gosh, okay, but I told my client, hold on, So I said, look, they told me that it's already up to 1.8, and I believe them. Because that's another thing you learn with time. You'll notice somebody's BSing you over the phone. You know, I mean, I have specific questions that I ask, and I know when they're making up stuff, just because of the voice, you just get it, okay? And again, this assessment tells you, it gives you a little bit, body language, there's a book on body language, bring out that stuff. You know, one of the things that you have to do a lot is put into yourself knowledge. And that's because that's gonna become a weapon for you later. Okay, so I tell her, we're at 1.8. And the other agent had told me that the highest offer had not responded yet. So we stepped it up to 1.82. We're still here. Freaking thing sold for 1.901.
Wow. And do you know what it ended up appraising for?
The appraised,
It did.
it did. I just found out through the purchase of this property. I found out because of that view,
Yeah.
but the property itself was definitely not worth that.
Wow.
And but my client goes, and she has the money. I mean, she has the money.
Yeah, so she was willing to
Yeah.
put the.
Yeah, she says, okay, because on that, I already told her, I said, look, anything over 1.6, because there was a house just like next to it, literally that has sold. And it has sold so they based it on the last house, similar. So she goes, well, she goes, yeah, she goes, I like it, but I'm not that crazy with my money. So I'm glad that we got this one and that it wasn't such a big deal. But that's kind of what's happening right now, and that's what you can expect. Now, on the lower price point, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
Because you have more buyers.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working with a couple clients out in Pico Rivera, and there's one in Riverside that matches kind of for me. I mean, the properties worth literally Riverside at 450, but they get 30, 40 offers. And then they just and it's hard because those agents in those areas are a completely different animal. I have absolutely no idea what customer service is.
If you're getting that many, then how many are you typically trying to counter to? Or is it subjective?
Well,
I think you have 40 offers.
yeah,
How many do you counter?
I just keep it up. I'm not gonna drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the others, for the most part, it goes past the expiration and that's that, like they never hear from you.
Oh, no, I
Okay.
call every single
you
one
do?
of them. It's the right thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you send them an email.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate, I have just create one that you always like,
Yeah.
and you say, I really appreciate the time and effort that you put into the offer for your client.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we received so many offers, and our client chose to counter the
Okay.
top offers.
So you're not saying you've been rejected, essentially.
No,
But-
yeah, you know.
Okay.
Like I said, sugar, put sugar in.
Yeah.
And that's how you handle it.
Okay.
Do not, please, do not just let somebody away. There's emotions, there's all kinds of stuff happening. That agent probably needs that commission. It's just all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
And if you want to stay in this business for a long time, treat people that way, just by all means, okay? So the process is pretty, especially in this market, is really intense, especially just tell your clients that don't freak them out, but just paint them a picture of what they can expect.
Yeah.
Because maybe these people, the last time they bought on a market that they had 20 properties to choose from, and they were in control. But one thing I always do when I take the listing is I always switch the tables. Well, right now the sellers are in charge of number. But even when it wasn't like this, I always take it, and that's why the underpricing, generating multiple offers works great. Because when multiple offers, you switch the table. You put the seller in control. They control the repairs you're trying, and at the end is who wants it. And those are the conversations I'm having. And I'm having them with the agents, and at times I'm having them with the agents in front of their clients. Why am I doing that? Because that way the agent doesn't have to now convince the client. So when they got to one of my open houses to, you know, looking at, they really want the property, they come and tell me, oh, they really like the home. I said, great. Well, and if the client is there, well, just so you know, the last property exactly like this sold for this much. The reason why this property is priced at this price is because it's gonna sell this weekend. So for you guys to get a counter, you need to come out of this above asking. And by the way, I am expecting multiple offers.
Yeah.
And what is that buyer hearing? Oh, shoot,
He's working for my money.
it's gonna be competitive.
Yeah.
And now we need to step it up. So I'm helping that agent convince their client. Because it's true. Because that way, I don't get the ones that 20,000 under. They already know that if they don't come, at least they're asking. They're gone. Okay. And it saves me time having to get back to those people, look at all the paperwork. It's just a good practice. But again, the delivery of that needs to be clear. It needs to be very, I use the word confidence because that's really what it takes. You need to take charge. When you're with your clients, you need to show that you know what you're doing. If they get that you know what you're doing, guess what? Absolutely, you know, they trust you. Okay, but if you're like, you know, so then that's why I said, do your homework. In the beginning, my suggestion is, unless you have a bunch of clients and you're really busy, you're gonna go show some property. If you can preview the property, if you can talk to the agent before going to the property, if you can check what possibly the property can sell for, because what are they gonna ask you? How do you think the property is priced? What do you say to that? And what do you say to that without just throwing stuff in the air? Right? Research. So what you do is at times, and then by the way, depending on the client too, because some clients don't, you know, but some of them, that's why with this one client that actually Robin met at an open house, I took over. Because she's like, and I didn't want to, you know, because she's brand new, that's her first deal. I didn't want her to like mess it up. So because no, seriously.
Well, it's fair. I mean, it's not her fault.
Sir, I have a question, like it's a very common question in those days. A lot of clients say like, is that the time to buy? Should we wait?
Okay.
Like everybody feel like, because what would be the honest like answer, because so the other instructors like just tell them like like there's a time for sale, but you don't say like a time to buy it. Every time is good to buy.
Okay.
But the thing is like, is that market gonna be crash or?
So tell me, and you didn't meet me yet, you haven't had this conversation with me, and I would plan to ask you that question, what will you tell me? Right now, what will you tell me?
Like, there is a more buyer than seller.
Okay.
And like,
So I'm asking you, is it a good time to buy? What's your answer?
that's what I'm asking, because.
No. But I guess I want to know where to start from. Okay. And I don't need to be, you know, opinion on that, but that's what you face it.
Yeah, for a long time it's good, but for short time, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Of course, I'm not sure because.
And that's how you lose clients. Yeah.
I understand.
That's how you lose clients. Okay. This you need to practice like a script. Okay. When you ask me, when's the best time to buy?
Yeah, is that the best time to buy a property because market is going crazy, prices are up.
Okay. Well, the best time to buy is when you can actually do it. Okay. And in this market, yes, prices are high, but interest rates are still historically low. But what's going on in the rate market is that the rates are going up really fast. In the last 6 weeks, the rates are going up more than 1%.
1%, yeah.
Okay, so if you wait for the properties to come down, you're gonna end up paying the same, only that now you're buying this home, you're just gonna have the same payment because your rate's gonna be much higher. When you have the credit, when you have the cash down, and you find a property that you're gonna be for several years in, that's the time to buy. Just like that. Why? Because you don't know what the heck is gonna happen in the next 2 or 5 years,
Exactly.
right? But if you're gonna be in the property for the next 10 years, what difference is it? Now, you ask me the same question, but I'm an investor. It's a bit different. First of all, you need to know if I'm gonna sell the property 6 months from now. If I'm gonna sell the property in the next 2 years, I would say that buying a retail definitely would not make sense, meaning buying a listing properties. But now if somebody finds a pocket listing or something to flip, then you have equity in that, you buy something. Every investor's coming to know that. But at times there's new investors and they buy retail. Right? They just want to have something, another home. They don't do it the traditional way of an investor. Right? So it's a different conversation.
Exactly, and also like I heard like they changed something 1031 exchange program.
They're trying to change.
And there was also like some tax returns and some property tax return. So is that also concerning for a investor?
For investors, the 1031 exchange is actually being attacked by the federal government. Biden is actually proposing doing away with it.
Exactly.
Which is a huge problem. Does anybody know what 1031 is? Okay.
We're all trying to wrap our brains around it.
In 90 days, if we change the property, so we don't have to pay tax on it within the 3 months.
Is it defer? Okay. So what it allows you to do is, it allows you to, if you have an investment property, it allows you to trade it. By the way, you will have to have had it for at least 2 years.
Okay.
Either your single family or the one that you live in. If you buy the house and you sell it before 2 years, you pay capital gain. You're not protected with a 250 or 500 or something.
And also like their 1039 is not applicable if we sell before 2 years.
Correct. Well, the 1031 is different because remember, you 1031 out, which means that you already sold a property before, so you actually deferring the taxes. When you're deferring paying taxes to the capital gain and the profits. So the problem is that because they're the people that make $250,000 and above are kind of under attack if they want us to be more taxed, right? So and then usually those are the people that end up with investment properties. So it allows them to buy one property, they sell it, not touch any of the money, move it to another property, and hold that for a few years, move it to another property or two, depending on how much you make. Okay? So you can buy the tax base or the tax deferred, it's getting moved, the property is getting moved. So when you do it, by not doing it, you have the ability to create wealth for tax. And what it does is it puts you in a better position for you to grow your portfolio. Or like let's say you can move, one property to something bigger. I mean, you can, as long as you don't take any of the cash back, you don't have to pay. I'll give you a perfect example. I have this client that I bought three townhomes in Portland, Canby. It's about half an hour south of Portland, Oregon. She didn't want to sell it because she didn't want to pay the capital gain. She says, I don't want to pay the capital gain. Nobody wants it. So, paid for. The three properties were paid for in the same, literally two of them next to each other. When they built them in 2011, she bought 5, and the son bought like 4, just to rent. But she didn't want to sell them. And the moment she sells them and she gets the proceeds, that triggers capital gain tax. Well, guess what she did? She says, I want you to take them. I'm going to give you 100% financing. And all you have to do is pay interest on it. So what she has to show for income is the payment that I give her every month. And she gave me a note for 10 years. As long as she doesn't get that money, it doesn't trigger.
Right.
Because I'm not gonna be alive in 10 years. No, I mean, no, she's very sharp.
Yeah.
No, very sharp lady. I'm close on the condo with her here.
Our kids are gonna feel about that.
So, but you know what, I mean, she just didn't want to, so she rather, but guess what she's doing though? She's getting paid interest only. She's keeping her principal in the property. She's making income of the money that she should have paid the government, right? Very smart. And that's why, at the remote exchange, you know, the fact that the government wants to get as much tax as possible.
Of course it
And they went down. So 1031 is still good, but it is, Biden is proposing, getting rid of it.
Yeah, like
It's not a good thing.
my prospective client, they want to buy a single family home, but I had a conversation with him and they asked me a lot of that kind of questions. If the people cannot afford paying mortgage later, and then the market gonna be crash again and again and again. So
Well,
I just end up with a say like, hey, how many years, it would be the first home, right? And I say, how many years have you been in rent? They said like 30 years. So I say you pay like maybe $500,000 in 30 years. And if you try to get your own home, so instead of renting, you're gonna pay mortgage. And it will be beneficial for you in the long run. So market sometimes goes up and goes down. It's a part of like a market, but you're not gonna invest in property. You're gonna buy for your own. So
I'm a little confusing, so they try to do that with their own personal residence? Or
no, they wanna buy.
They wanna buy a second home?
The first home, yeah, first home.
Okay,
Yeah. So that's why you're asking me a lot of questions, like because of 1031.
that doesn't, 1031 doesn't apply to your personal residence.
Yeah, okay. No, he said like there's a lot of investor, if they don't get like this benefits like 1031 and other stuff. And they're gonna stop buying investment and some kind of stuff, and like there will be more seller than buyer in 6 months and 1 year. So how do this impact on market?
Well,
Like something.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the market does, you know, shift, but unfortunately, we have had the last 6 years as a seller's market.
Sellers market, yeah.
Yeah, so and right now, everything predicts that it's gonna continue to be that way. And the reason why that has changed from going up and down into who's in charge, the buyer or the seller, is because of the low inventory. Okay, 99 houses were built for, like, in the last 3 decades, the building of homes went way down than before, and that's what's created a shortage. There's a lot of data and that. And so as we move forward, the shortage will continue, right? So prices will continue to rise. Now, can the market crash? Not like it happened in 2007.
Or eight.
That was not real estate. This is the part that people confuse.
Yeah.
The real estate market did not collapse. What collapsed was the financial market.
Yep.
Every bank that had investment or they had mortgages, okay, the mortgages were the poison. That's what took down real estate. Okay, because there were so many bad loans, it came due. People were paying $1,500 when the payment should have been $4,000.
Yes.
So when that reset, nobody could pay the mortgage. They couldn't afford to refinance. They couldn't, they couldn't do anything. So that's when everybody stopped paying, and it just created an effect. So the right now, every loan that is out there on properties, it's a good loan.
It's really good, Ron.
And to top it off,
I don't understand that. What's different about the loan now versus the loan then?
oh, well, before in 2004, 2005, 2006, if you had polls,
You could get one.
you would get a loan. The lender will say, They call it stated income.
Okay.
You don't have to prove how much you make.
Yeah.
What you have to do is tell me, yeah, I make 200,000.
Great.
Just transfer.
Yeah, and then they will say, okay, so we're gonna put your job, the title, they will actually select the title of your job based on how much you tell them you make.
That's so weird.
There's a movie, right?
What?
Yeah. Yes. There's a movie out there, I can't,
Catch me if you can.
no.
He wasn't in that one.
Actually, yeah, you gotta see that movie.
Yeah.
Because that really explains, I mean, in the movie, they actually show this, this is a stripper that owned like 10 homes. Because, I mean, people were doing 110%, okay,
Yeah.
financing, where you bought a house for 100,000, the bank will give you 110,
Yeah.
you took 10,
Yeah.
and
Right.
greed. And everybody knew this was coming down. I was in banking at that time.
That's wild. How did the government support that? Well, they didn't clearly.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened with this review, when people don't, during, and I don't get
So
into
the escrow
politics.
wasn't working good.
I don't get into politics. But Trump was, taking all the regulations that get put to tighten things up after the crash. Obama came in and they just shut it down. I mean, it was hard to get a loan. It was tough. But Trump is there to get this, so they started opening things up. Right now, there's starting to be some programs that are stated income. For private investors, yet the rate is higher. So these people were paying minimum payments on a higher rate, just because they were risky loans. So it was the bankers literally making money.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what happened
I
then.
see. That makes a lot more sense to me now.
Yeah, so, since it's a small group, feel free that, if you guys ever have any questions or you're working on something. And I want to say to us if Sonia is, she comes up to me sometimes, if Sonia is your coach, of course, go to her first. When she's not around so much, she has to help with people. But just get help, get the assistance, because it's not right now, I'm not going to discourage anybody, but it's a tough market out there.
Definitely.
And
Tricky, there's so many dynamics, so,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, can I chime in on that? My client right now looked at around 12 to 13 properties, like literally 8 of them closed within 3 days when it was on the market.
The when pending, you mean?
Like streams pending,
Yeah.
And who?
Yeah, and they didn't even bother to I asked him that might profit, like, no, we're done. It was really quick.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
do you guys mind if I take a couple more minutes? In regards to that, okay. Remember I talked about a buyer's presentation?
Yes.
What was the reason why they were buying?
So relocation for to be, an easy commute to the universities.
Okay,
So that's basically the goal that we reached about, and in terms of that, also a good place to live, a good location.
and what was the price point?
The budget was pretty flexible, qualified for around 320 or so, but getting help from their parents, and then got a lot of cash, so it's pretty flexible.
Okay.
So we're looking basically for properties that we're able to put good offers on, and that would be.
What do you say, good offers?
So not for something that's let's say for example, 500K and we can't really negotiate over that.
Okay,
We'll focus on the ones that we can, and the more I ship the homes and the more we talk, you get more of I get more of
so they get discouraged.
Yeah.
Okay. And those clients that I told you that I wrote 32 offers?
Mhm.
I don't remember the times, or how many times I've literally put all the pieces together and build them back up.
Yeah.
First of all, you need to let them know about your commitment to getting a home.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, even though I told him, hey, even though this happened, I'm not done. We're gonna keep going. And
So how are you not done?
with the ones that we couldn't get offers in, I told him, we're just gonna keep going.
So what are you doing to show them, or show them that you're not done?
In terms of the, cause I set them up on CloudStream and every time he likes it, I follow up, like call, talk about it, get going, like, really, cause I've noticed that some of the listings,
Is that the only client you're working with right now? Or you have
not
more?
really, I have other clients, but that's one I'm prioritizing because school is coming up.
So that's the one that you're showing to
Yes,
actively?
yes,
Okay. Pick at least 200 homes in each area around the houses that you made offers. Start around. Tell them you have a buyer. Take the pre-approval letter if you need to.
oh, yeah, true.
Okay, start knocking the doors and say, I have a buyer that's looking to move into this area, are you considering moving?
Sir, I have a question.
Hold on a second, send a letter, a very simple letter, they call it a golden letter, like, I can give you a copy if you want. It simply says, will you be interested in selling your home to one of my buyers? If you are, please call me. Just, dear homeowner, just that, Aaron, my phone number. Throw it in an envelope, handwritten,
Handwritten, yeah.
put a real stamp, don't even put a return address. Send that to those 200 homes around each of the offers that did not get accepted. Because numbers show that when a home sells,
All around.
3 other ones in the neighborhood. Okay? You want to show them that you're doing something? That's how you show them. This is what they're going to say. "Oh, this guy's working for me, right?" So that's how you make a difference in this market. I mean, like for some of the offers that I have not gotten accepted, I got these guys, writing that kind of letters. And you just write it once. With a letter, you just write once, write it in blue, like it just shows better. And then make everything color. Okay, just one after the other, it looks pretty real, like it looks like, I mean, Robin actually penmanship mine, and I read myself. But she has some penmanship, so she actually, did the draft of the letter, and we just start copying them. But then, handwritten envelopes, I know it's a pain, but you should have plenty of time right now. I mean, when you get busier later and stuff, right? There are services to do that too, but it's not as effective.
Yeah.
The one thing is that the number is 1 to 2%. So there's a letter right. If your nephews or whoever have good mentorship, buy them a pizza, bring them over, have them, without pizza in the envelopes, but have, do something for them to help you write that stuff.
Yeah.
Just get creative. But that's, so you send a letter and then you go, how about this excuse of, oh, by the way, did you receive my letter?
Yeah.
It's different than like, oh, do you want to sell?
Yeah.
Well, what letter? Oh, it's just that I have a family, or I have, one of my buyers is brilliant. He missed out on the house down the street and he has asked me to come and ask, will you be willing to sell your house?
The type of email.
Send the letter and then go.
Well, I mean, it's a first class mail, so 2-3 days, and usually the next, depending on when you drop it, it can be there the next day or the second day. So send it on a Wednesday evening, go knock the heck out of that neighborhood on Saturday.
Yeah.
Present, you don't have to own a suit, but present yourself nicely, take your business card, you don't even have to have a flyer. I mean, my suggestion is if they say, do you have a buyer? Absolutely. Here's the pre-approval letter.
Okay.
Would you think you will be impressed with that? Do you think you can break handle that? So you give them a call and you tell them, by the way, I'm sending letters out to those neighborhoods, and this weekend, I'm door knocking, because I'm gonna find a home, and on that home, you're not gonna have competition. You can sell one.
The listing agent, right?
Huh?
Listing agent, like first listing agent, like if we find somebody who want to sell that, so nothing like that, like be a listing agent.
Right, so you're controlling now on both sides. Yeah, and so besides you getting paid more, you're not gonna have 20 offers to complete with. What you have to do is find out, once you find somebody right away, get the information and tell them, well, okay, so then then you're gonna tell how much they want for the property. Then say, well, let me check what the comps say, and let's see if we can make this happen. When can my client see the property? Okay, and then you come and do comps, and you come and just see where the price should be. And then it doesn't matter, like now, by the way, on that, if you don't have a representation agreement, there's a one-page form, whoever you're working with, ask them, the one-page form that says, it can be done per property. That guarantees you getting paid. Because you, and I don't know if it's your friend or family or whatever, but buyers, they can cut you off. So you want to protect yourself. You don't want to show the property if you're not protected, then make sure you're gonna get that. Okay? And what you do with, if you really want to make it happen, don't even, a lot of people focus on like getting 6%. In this environment, it's tough. Everybody else is cutting the freaking commissions. I don't negotiate my commissions, but I do what the market is. I do the 5%. Okay? But when I represent both sides, depending on the family, depending on me, I always say, look, if I end up bringing the buyer, I'll give you a credit for closing costs of half. Something like that you're actually trying to save your buyer. You have to get approval from Simon.
Yeah.
But he always approves it. So, just tell them after. If somebody says, well, no, I'm willing to pay 4%, otherwise I want to sell it to your buyer. Done. Which you were only gonna get in that area, whatever area you were, probably 2% or 2.5 the most, right?
Exactly.
Why not make 4? That's what you have to do in this one. But, and by the way, you can contact one of the title companies to provide you some information.
Yeah, I'm in connection with Joanne, she's been helping me with geofarming near an area I wanted to farm, so.
Yeah, so start knocking the life out of those neighborhoods.
So in this regard, I have a question. Like the funny, but I saw like there's a lot of signs on and have on their house have a dog and like no solicitors, kind of that stuff. So is that legal to knock that number of question?
If you solicit, if it says no soliciting, respect it. Sometimes
but we can drop the annual bond,
Yeah.
but we cannot knock it out.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So other thing like, what if we don't have a buy right now? Can we say that? Oh, we have a buy very long. To get listing, that's it.
You can, because what you say is you can refer as we have a buyer to the brokerage, and there's a lot of people. I have a little bit of a
because the
problem with
legal
that.
issues, like I don't want to get in any like legal problems.
No.
Some people say, oh, you lying, where's buyer? Like
And the worst thing somebody can say is get out. But it's they say they don't like that.
Especially there with the sign on her head again, so.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
If they ever got them, be like, no.
But you know what? If that guy I'm walking by and he's on the front of the front door,
Sure.
hey, I'm gonna say hi to him.
Sure.
Well, guess what? I'm packing. No. So don't put yourself in situations.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. Focus on the positive things. If 2 of those houses are in the 200 that I said, you have 198 to knock and focus on those. Don't. Well, we focus on it's a bowl law. We have to the bowl. What you focus on is fence. Okay, so if you focus on the negativity of what you find when you go there, now if it's an unsafe neighborhood, especially for females, I always say, don't go by yourself. Okay. But yeah, just focus on the good, and when you go there, by the way, just put yourself in a just like when I do open houses, when I go to listings, when I go, I mean, I always allow myself a little bit of time. Because I want to get myself in the right mind, right energy. I'm all about that. To me, like a person can come in a room, I can meet someone, and I can sense that. And people do it. So when you go and talk to people, they're gonna sense if you like just flip somebody in the freeway, you get pissed off and you're the wrong energy is flowing to you. And that's what you're gonna encounter. So get there early, sit in the car for a few minutes and just get there.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you're doing, if a song gets you in a good, just put that song. But you have to go in there positive. Don't see the person telling you to F off, just see the person telling you, let's look at that. Let's consider it. Oh my God, I'm glad you're not. I was, we're just thinking about selling that home. That's the crap that you need to put in your head.
Yep.
Seriously. Okay? So go with the affirmations. I mean, they're like a huge thing because we need to, people, and please smile. Like when you're there, it's very tough for somebody like to smile back when you smile at them. It's just that simple. And at all times, by the way, because people, after you knock and you leave, they watch, they tell you to go, don't go back and just be at all times when you're door knocking, because people are watching, people are in the windows. Don't do stupid stuff. I think that people do so many crazy stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it weird to take notes between each? Because I feel like I would want to do that for the next, so say I was like, oh, they had a dog, so I want to write that down for the next time I go over that.
Don't you tell her that you should have an app where you can actually write the notes.
Okay,
See, and that's what's important. So you keep track
right.
of what's going on. You could door knock right now, and they can give you the farm of the area. And sometimes you can even have that property information.
Yeah.
And the name of the owners.
Is it weird to go from their door to the sidewalk and then they're watching you literally just like typing in all the information, or they just won't know, they're just think you're working, texting somebody,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, or just walk to the next
Yeah.
home, do it in front of that way or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have. I mean, there's so much more material. Yes.
Sorry. Okay, so if you wrote the letter, right, what if they have already another agent?
What?
Another agent, what if they already have an agent?
An agent?
Is there any problem, like, oh, you approach my client or some kind of stuff?
No, because they're just
No.
gonna go to that agent to list it and you're the buyer.
The only time you can actually set a property is when there's a sign from another agent there. That's unethical. You can actually set that.
So, but we don't know before we drop the letter, we don't know those person, like, we don't have any idea if they have already listing or exclusive or
Okay,
just somebody to
So
talk.
that's not gonna happen.
Okay,
I guarantee you. And that's when I say about focus on the.
positive thing.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter anyway, right? If they have another agent, then they potentially just then list with that, you approach them, they then list with that agent and you bring the buyer.
Correct. Or you just want the property.
Yeah.
Simple as
And
that.
we also, can we say like, if you wanna, sell or buy, or if you need any services, or we are happy to help you like this, or we have to just, if you wanna sell the property, we have a buyer. Can we use a different, script?
Well, I told you what works. Whatever else you do up to that, it's on you. You can do anything. But stick to it. Sometimes we try to reinvent stuff. And it's unnecessary. Just, this business is not about getting creative. This business is about repetition and best practices.
Exactly.
Listen to the people that are doing it and that it's working. You wanna get fancy, go for it. And then you find out your own results. And that's what it comes down to. So just, at times, I know it can be very smart, but my suggestion would be, is to just freaking put blinders on and just, do next. Tell them, it's the best thing. I made a mistake when I first started. Look, I'm coming from a executive, doing a executive job at a bank for 20-some years. Consider myself a really smart guy. I knew everybody in town because I was in all the 6 chamber of commerce. I was a vice chair of the board for the chamber. I knew everybody in town, and I had 6,000 people in my database. I'm like, I'm gonna do this my way. I thought this business was gonna come in. I spent so much time doing that. The arrogance of not doing the freaking basics. Okay, this business, if you wanna get in business faster with buyers, do open houses. If you wanna find listings, start door knocking. Takes longer to get clients, but in the long run, the listing side will always win and will always pay back. Okay, but the same practices people were using 50 years ago are working right now. Yes, we have technology, we can go ahead and leverage that, but at the end of the day, is the simplicity, and that's why we have coaches in this business. Okay, listen to your coach, and the reason why, the people coming up here, pick 1 or 2 little things from each of those people, the worst, and see which one works for you. And then eat the life out of that one. Okay, that's the best thing I can tell you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome.
What is up? What's up, my man?
What's up?
How you doing?
Good. Is this a suitable classroom?
Of course it is. All classes are, my friend.
I saw your name on it and I was like, well.
Well, I definitely appreciate it.
Come to support
Thank you.
and
thank
learn,
you.
mainly learn.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing of what we offer is, it's not always me talking, you know, we have a variety of different talents, different experiences. And, you know.
Yeah, I saw Bob did one yesterday and I was bummed I couldn't,
Yeah,
I was busy, so I couldn't see.
yeah, those you do not want to miss for sure.
Yeah,
You definitely don't want to miss
we'll
those.
call it